I don't think Mr. Papandreou is doing that. And I don't think Eddie isn't doing it either. But I really think you guys got $400,000 in lawsuits. We haven't accomplished anything. The downtown development was never even, I mean, it was bought up here every single week. You guys didn't do anything. We had a professional presentation. You guys acted like the people weren't even here. We had, you guys were talking about the parks and recs being a mess, our parks. A proposal was brought forth to you guys from the administration. You didn't act on it. The bathrooms over at Helmich Park, I mean, I wouldn't want an elephant to go in there and use them. They're horrible. You got to have a gas mask to go in one of them. When I was playing softball over there, it's terrible. And there's a lot of other issues that you guys just, it's like you don't care. I'm not saying every one of you, but the majority, you act like you don't care. This guy here sits here and just collects his check from you guys and looks down like he could care less, you know? And that's pretty sad. I come to these meetings and and it's like, no matter what I say, you guys don't do anything. It's hate the mayor and move the city forward at our expense. And that's pretty much about it. I think that you really seriously have to look at this water treatment facility as a real danger to the community. Thank you.
Lori Harris.
Good evening. First, my PSA. Our COVID numbers are even higher. RSV and flu is climbing. So take good care of yourselves. Protect those around you that are less healthy, maybe the elderly or those who are immunosuppressed. Let's take care of each other during the holiday season. I wanted to comment on 13A, and I also feel that I don't know what the settlement was. I don't know what I missed. But having been at that meeting, it was clear that that meeting was called with a map already printed, not even just suggested, printed in nice shiny paper, not dispersed to the meeting. Someone else saw it sitting off to the side, or we would have not even known that it was already there. And I'm going to wager a guess that new cards have already been printed for those alleged new districts. And that meeting was held, that was inappropriate to be held. I hope that, like I said, I have no idea what the resolution was, what a settlement is, but I hope that you guys let us know. I also wanted to remind people, our community needs to care about each other. And this is a hard time of year for those who have lost somebody in their family and who have suffered loss, who are grieving, who, life isn't treating them well. There's illness. There might be a monetary issue. We need a lot of compassion. So my prayer is that...
1 minute.
Thank you. That people feel cared for in our community. And that would be one of the biggest gifts we could give to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Howard.
Just speaking about the redistricting, it appears that this council will be voting to settle a lawsuit tonight in regards to redistricting. This council made it abundantly clear what it thought about the administration's map that was proposed and the legislative body that assembled that map. This council said it was corrupt, it was legal, it was a sham, on, and described that legislative body that formed that map and the map itself and said it was corrupt. Voting rights are the cornerstone of democracy. It is important that all citizens have an equal opportunity to participate in the political process. Unfortunately, historically, redistricting practices and other tactics have been used in the past to violate the voting rights of certain communities, particularly communities of color. One way that voting rights can be violated is through redistricting, is through the practice of gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is the manipulation of electoral district boundaries for the purpose of benefiting a particular party, group, or elected officials already in power. This can be done by drawing oddly shaped districts that group together certain types of voters, or by dividing communities into multiple districts in order to dilute their voting power, which is against the Voting Rights Act. Gerrymandering has a disproportionate impact on communities of color, as it can be used to dilute their voting power and reduce their ability to influence elections. This can have serious consequences for these communities, as it prevents them from being fairly represented in the political process and from having their needs and concerns addressed by their elected officials. And no one's surprised that southern section of Warren, one of the most ethnic diverse communities in the city, has historically been neglected. Other tactics that have been used to harm communities of color and violate their voting rights include voter suppressions and so forth, and closing polling places, which the south side of the city has less polling places than it used to. It makes it harder for groups of people to vote, and they can have a significant negative impact on the outcome of elections. It is important to combat these practices and protect the voting rights of all citizens. Anyone who does not work to ensure the equitable apportionment of districts does not deserve to be an elected official. This can be done through a variety of methods, including fair redistricting practice, voter education efforts, legal challenges to voter suppression tactics. By working together, we can assure that all voices are heard and that everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in the political process. We can create a more fair and representative democracy for all people. I hope that whatever the settlement or the outcome of this is, that it's the benefit for all residents, and not just those in power. Historically, we know how gerrymandering and other laws have been put in place to hurt other minority groups, whether it's along color or it's along socioeconomic lines. I just hope that this council and the administration does what's right for all people and not just themselves. Thank you.
Gloria Sanker.
Good evening, City Council. It's that wonderful time of the year again. I'm amazed when I think even war stops for an interlude to honor the holy day we call Christmas that's coming up. The poor take front row to get food and toys because someone recognizes that this is a special time to give not until it hurts, but until it feels good. It's a time when we smile more at strangers and say we're sorry when we make a mistake. Yes, it's a special time, not anything we created, but what God created with the birth of his son on that day we call Christmas. I like what I heard from a preacher who said, he came as a baby so that we would have to hold him and embrace him. So many years later, we still express so much of the spirit of Christmas. But I think we get the day wrong. Almost everyone says happy holidays. Is it a holiday? I don't think so. It's so unique, and it should be kept so by keeping the phrase Merry Christmas and not Happy Holidays. Christmas is not only the birth of Christ, but our time to renew its meaning. It is more than a day. It is a season of giving. Amidst all the hustle, we forget the many unfortunate around us. They don't realize that Christmas is really for them. We are so immersed with every sales ad that it's easy to forget that Christmas is the spirit of giving and not so much of getting. Sadly, suicide happens to the depressed who don't see how they fit into this extra celestial season. If we don't intentionally feed our minds with the real meaning of Christmas, we can overlook the message. If you find you are only buying gifts and your credit card is being overwhelmed with debt,
1 minute.
try giving of yourself. You will then be celebrating Christmas and not just a secular holiday. I hope we who seemingly have so much will not forget that the reason of our joy is a little baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, came so tiny so that you have to hold him, who brings the best gifts of all, salvation and peace. Yes, it is a